So who are our panelists? So we're going to have our panelists come off mute and introduce themselves just really briefly. So Pepper?
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so honored to have been invited to be on this panel. My name is Pepper Phillips. I use the pronouns she, her. I'm an Air Force veteran. I'm an active duty spouse. I'm also the mother of an active duty Air Force military member. I currently work in the microbiology lab for the VA, so veterans are my jam. I am all about them, whether they're in my life or in my work. I currently reside in Fayetteville on the lands of the Lumbee tribe, adjacent to Fort Liberty, formerly known as Fort Bragg.
Nicole?
Hi, thank you so much for having me today. My name is Nicole Rawlinson. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a military spouse of 12 years. My spouse serves in the U.S. Navy. I currently work to connect youth to national parks through programs focused on educational and experiential opportunities on public lands, and I work at the National Park Foundation. I am located on the occupied land of the Pokanoket and Wampanoag people, presently known as Newport, Rhode Island. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be here today.
Sherrell?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sherrell Moore-Tucker, and I am a Army veteran. I'm married to a Navy retiree, and my father served in Vietnam, and my brother served in the Air Force. So similar to Vidya, definitely come from a military background. I currently work for the federal government, have been ever since I was discharged from the Army, but I also have a business called Mind, Body, Faith, where it's all about people being able to come together in community to focus on movement and meditation as a way to solidify their health and well-being through faith. Thank you.
And Antoinette?
Hi, everyone. My name is Antoinette Lee. I'm so excited to be here with you. I am here in the ancestral lands of the Menominee and Ochete Shakawee people in what's called the North Woods of Wisconsin. I'm an Army veteran. My partner is a Marine Corps veteran, and I also come from a long line of veterans. All of the men in my family served in the military, and I was the first woman in my family to serve.
All right, so we have a question for Pepper and Sherrell. Research shows that contact with nature is associated with decreases in mental stress, increases in happiness and well-being, as well as a sense of purpose and meaning in life. What benefits have you witnessed as a veteran, and how has this shown up in the work that you're doing? And either one of you can go first.
I'll jump in there first, just because the work that I do doesn't really allow me to witness the well-being of my fellow veterans, working in a clinical lab by myself, doing some, sciencey, nerdy stuff. So really, I'm changing what I want to do. My master's really opened my eyes to the importance of equity and equality in our environment. So my plan is to really be able to be a voice for underserved populations through research. I'm trying to get out there in the workforce, pivot what I'm doing in the lab, and bring all of that research, into working for some sort of companies that really focus on the environment, bringing that equity and equality into populations, because I know for myself personally how much contact with nature has changed my life and how it continues to offer me just tremendous physical and mental health support. And I'm really excited to hear what Sherrell has to hear about this with her amazing company, Mind, Body, Faith.
Oh, that was great, Pepper. So I teach yoga and meditation and Pilates, have been for a number of years. I actually started my practice towards the end of my time in the military. So I get a chance to meet civilians and veterans that are really excited around spring and summer and even into the fall, that really enjoy getting outdoors and being able to add the component of mindfulness to being outdoors. For the past few years, probably starting around the time of COVID, I was able to partner with some hiking clubs one specifically for women of color and another club that was open to everyone. And so with those two endeavors, I was able to bring yoga, mindfulness to a community that already had experience outdoors. And then it also brought some of the yogis and movement practitioners to the outdoors for the first time out of the studio. And some of the benefits that I've seen is that it's so interesting, whether you're hiking or you're walking or you're doing yoga or some other type of mindful movement, people gather and they're pretty excited. There's like this element of excitement about what we're all getting ready to embark upon. People tend to tell me that they leave feeling grounded, like some of the things that Nicole and Antoinette has said, feeling grounded, feeling more aware and more present as they spend time out in nature, moving, observing, and exploring. And so I think that there is definitely something to be said beyond just getting outdoors and getting some vitamin D, but there's actually a holistic way of healing when veterans spend time outdoors and whatever activity, is their preference. And I've been able to be a witness to that and also experience it for myself. And the weather doesn't necessarily have to be perfect for people to experience some of these benefits of mental clearness, calming effect, feeling a sense of groundedness, feeling a sense of purpose actually out in nature, especially for people that may be dealing with sadness or loss or depression. It definitely is not a cure-all, but it's definitely a help and is available to many veterans and civilians if they will be intentional about going out and spending time in nature.
That's a good point, Sherrell. I recently saw a article in the New York Times that shared that more therapists are actually prescribing time outdoors, as well as doing some of their sessions in the outdoors with their clients. So it seems like people are starting to now tune into how connectedness to being outdoors is improving health, not only telling people, hey, get outdoors, but actually to see practitioners doing the same thing within their practices. And I have my next set of questions for our panelists. So this is for Nicole and Antoinette. Understanding the positive impacts on mental and physical health that spending at least 30 minutes outdoors has, such as relieving anxiety, decreasing blood pressure, and improving sleep and mood. What are a few solutions to overcome common barriers that women veterans or women may encounter when attempting to spend time in nature? And I'm going to field that to Antoinette first, because Antoinette founded an organization.
Thank you. I've co-founded Diversified Whitewater for my love of whitewater kayaking and paddleboarding and kayak fishing. And then later I started the American Adventure Sports Club because I am an all-around outdoors woman, hiking, fishing, climbing, hunting, archery, all the things. And I wanted to open more outdoor recreation opportunities up because everyone doesn't love water. So a lot of times people from underrepresented communities, like folks with disabilities, which many of us have, both hidden and invisible, women, people of color, the queer community, sometimes we spend a lot of time worrying about, will I be accepted? Will I be welcomed? My experience, and I've been an outdoor adventurer since 2013, has been I've had 3 times where I've been made to feel like I wasn't welcome. And I didn't even have to say anything. The rest of the community told those people that wasn't okay. So I wouldn't worry too much about feeling welcome and included, because for the most part, you are going to find that people are just excited that you want to learn the thing that they are passionate about. So that you want to learn to ski, or you want to learn to hike, or to garden, or whatever the activity is. The other critical barrier has been, especially for women with kinky, coily, curly, wavy hair, is manageability. How do we manage our hair in the outdoors, especially if it's a multi-day trip, especially if it involves water, because tangles are real. And once your hair gets tangled, it's, you're out in the middle of nowhere. It can be a challenge to then manage the tangles and also look however your company expects you to look when you go to work the next day, right? So we could talk the entire time about hair management. So I'm doing a YouTube video next month to kind of cut through how you can manage your hair easily in the outdoors. The other significant barrier is cost, but there are a lot of clubs that you can borrow gear from, rent gear from, or use their gear. And then the other barrier is skill knowledge. It can be very intimidating watching people do a sport and thinking, I'd love to be out there skiing or kayaking or paddleboarding, but I don't know how to get started or buy the equipment or what's the right equipment. I might do something wrong, in air quotes, because there is no such thing as something wrong. And then people will look at me funny or think I don't belong there. So that intimidation factor is real. One of the ways that you can start learning is you can get on YouTube and look at what people are teaching. So for example, if you want to learn archery, you can check out archery videos on how to get started. You can connect with people in your community who's doing the thing to say, hey, I'm interested in getting started. Would you ever be willing to take me out and show me a few things? So getting past those barriers of cost, feeling welcome, managing hair, and learning a new skill are very real barriers, but they're all very easily solved in the technology age.
Nicole?
Thank you, Antoinette. I cannot tell you how many of those same barriers I was thinking about as I was considering this question as well. I do want to just open by saying that I'm a military spouse. I'm not a woman veteran. And so while I do share the experience of being military connected, I don't share the experience of having served. So I do want to thank everyone who's on this call for their service to our nation. And while I answer this question from my perspective, please know that I don't assume to know every barrier a woman veteran may experience when attempting to spend time in nature, and I cannot. But I can share some of the ways that I have found solutions to limiting factors for spending time in the outdoors as a part of a military family and as a woman myself. So, barriers look different to each individual person, right? And what's a barrier to me might not be a barrier to someone else and vice versa. But when we think about the barriers that one might face, things that come to mind are accessibility of physical locations, transportation, concerns for safety, a feeling of exclusion that might be difficult to explain, but it exists and it's real and it's valued, or financial barriers like entry fees, gear expenses, and licenses. So I want to first just start by recognizing that time spent outdoors or in nature does not need to mean wilderness. And time in nature doesn't need to be defined by someone else's perception. It doesn't have to require expensive gear, and it doesn't require a vast knowledge of a specific activity. Time spent outdoors can be as simple as taking a walk or finding your favorite park bench in a local park to meditate on the day. If you feel uncomfortable alone, invite a friend and eliminate that barrier of feeling unsafe or uncomfortable by being together. And it also provides an environment to strengthen your relationships and spend quality time with another person. A perfect example of this is during, prior to our last PCS, when we were living in Northern Virginia, I had a local friend who also worked from home, and we would meet for a lunchtime walk once a week. It was a great opportunity to spend time outdoors, get some physical activity in, and connect regularly with a friend. But, as I think about some of the barriers for a more planned experience outdoors, I think that one of the best solutions is finding a group to attend outings with, especially as you're gaining that comfort. So it can really help to increase comfort and skills and build relationships with folks who share an interest with you. There's so many group-based outdoor opportunities in locations across the country. And they're often affinity based. So, thinking about our, shared experience as being connected to military organizations like Sierra Club Military Outdoors, Blue Star Families, Wounded Warrior Project, Military Wild, Team Red, White, and Blue. I'm just naming a few. They're doing amazing work to support veteran and military members and their families by developing meaningful outdoor programs and outings. And there are other organizations that are also actively connecting people to nature, where your veteran status might not be a part of that shared identity that connects you, but you can feel at home and welcome and comfortable. So I'm thinking about outdoor Afro, Latino outdoors, outdoor Asian, or disabled hikers, all organizations working nationally through local chapters to connect people with shared identities to meaningful outdoor experiences. And last, when I think about barriers to access, especially from like that financial perspective, it's really valuable to mention in this space that public lands are ours to experience. And the agencies that are tasked with the management of public lands are increasingly working towards accessibility and inclusivity, not only through access, but through the programming and partnerships that they're engaging with to ensure that people feel safe, included, and a sense of belonging in public lands. There are many access programs and fee waivers that support veterans and military members. Often we just don't know what's available without knowing where to look for it. So for example, waived licensing fees in some states for certain activities like fishing, or state parks that have access programs for waived entry. And this isn't veteran specific, but check your local or state library. They might have a state parks pass program available. And then the last thing I really want to be sure to share is just, I love having access to the America the Beautiful Interagency Annual Pass. That pass is for active duty military members and their dependents. And then the lifetime pass for veterans and Gold Star family members are available to us, at national parks and participating public land, federally managed public lands. And so, this is eliminating the fees that are associated with entry. And it's one piece of a very complex puzzle, but it's one piece that supports us in taking advantage of experiencing our public lands. So get out there and do it.
Wow, that was fantastic. And super excited with that. New York just published or approved a lifetime Liberty Pass for all their state park passes for veterans. So super excited about that. In Michigan, Governor Whitmer hopefully will be signing a law in November around free park passes for military members and veterans. And that is something that I'm actually working on here in Georgia with some of our legislators to hopefully in the next legislative session in 2025 to put forth House Bill 205. So if you ladies are in Georgia, we'll be talking so that we can get that passed so that we can have free park passes as well here in the state of Georgia. So great information. Check out the chat. Deidre is dropping links to resources that are being shared here. And you will be receiving a list in a follow-up email from us. So thank you both, Antoinette and Nicole, for that information. All right, so the next set of questions I have is going to be for Pepper and Nicole. And this is a 2020 study shows that participating in therapeutic nature-based programming within a group in creating a healthy community and dynamic social support system are key to experiences for veteran participants. But community doesn't have to be limited to an organized event. What role would you say community plays in creating I'm sorry. Pepper?
Hi. So, for me, when I think about quality outdoor space and especially for veterans, working for the VA, there is not a chattier group of people or community than veterans. Veterans love to talk to each other. They love to talk about their shared experiences. And so, anything about being outdoors for veterans, I think community is key, that it really is about connecting. After the pandemic, after we were all so isolated and so separated, we've kind of burrowed away from ourselves. And I think, we've lost that ability to connect. And unfortunately, as wonderful as the World Wide Web can be and some of the social media, platforms that get information and disseminate the things we need, they also give us a sense of isolation. And, we're so busy looking at, everybody's highlight reels and what, looks to be like perfect lives from everybody else, not recognizing that we have so far many more shared experiences and common experiences than we would ever know. And getting out there and being with each other is really all it takes. It doesn't have to be an organized event. You don't have to have tickets for the thing. You don't have to sign up for a time. I mean, like Nicole had mentioned, with so many of these groups, they do offer a ton of just wonderful resources to connect. But I think, really the role community plays in these quality moments is the connection. Any event where the connection is happening, that's where the quality comes out of it. And so, I know it's scary. I know that it's really tough for a lot of us. A lot of us have social anxiety. A lot of us, are afraid of misspeaking or, wondering how we're going to present to each other. But the thing is we're all just so desperate again for that connection. We really are. So, going to whatever spaces you are and you feel safe in and you feel comfortable in, and having those conversations are just so important. So, I mean, I can't recommend enough looking up all these resources that Deidre is sharing in the chat and that will be sent out and that Nicole mentioned. Especially for veterans, there's a lot of side effects of your time in service. And, even for spouses, we understand the stresses that puts on your life and your mental health and your physical health. And so finding those other people that have that shared experience with you is just so important. And I think, getting the health benefit and the mental health benefit of doing it in a quality outdoor moment is so important and so key. And that's why I'm so thrilled to be here, discussing this and giving everybody kind of that, green light to, yes, just go out, grab that outdoor moment, grab that quality time with the people that that you care about, and people that hopefully will soon be people that and care about.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Pepper. Nicole?
Yes, Pepper, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for your response. It was like so perfect. Grabbing that moment. I love that. And I love this question because I do think that community plays a huge role in creating outdoor moments, and that community can really be comprised of people you've met through organized events, right? But they can also be comprised of friends and neighbors and your family. As a military family, we don't always have that sense of community built in. We might have just arrived to a new location, we're still trying to acclimate. We might feel like no matter where we are, we've got one foot firmly planted outside of that community as we plan for the next move or change. And so when change is your constant, it can be hard to find that sense of stability or community, which makes a really great opportunity for nature to enter the stage and show us how it can connect us to place and to people and to community. So, through organized events, we can meet other families who share that excitement and create relationships that extend, leveraging those organized activities to then strengthen a connection and lead to a sense of sustained community that can happen across multiple types of interactions. And so, I think of so many great examples of this, as I mentioned, as I was listing some of the organizations that are doing really great work. Military Wild is one that comes to mind for me. They offer monthly meetup style outdoor activities, but then they also have this really active online community where members share their outdoor adventures. They ask questions about things to do in specific areas. They share upcoming opportunities that they've come across. So we can leverage and use technology also to inform these relationships and communities that we're building through connecting outdoors in maybe what starts off as a more formal planned activity or event. And I really just see such a value add to opportunities that through sustained experiences with multiple organized events with like the same cohort of people, we just find these really great natural intersections and connections. So, I'm going to also mention Blue Star Families. Their Outdoor Explorers for All program is an amazing opportunity for military and veteran families to connect outdoors, meet other military connected families through multiple engagements, and again, find where those relationships can continue. And then I also just really want to intentionally put it out there that this dynamic support system, right, is one that can also be connected to our individual families too. So when I think about some of the most valuable moments in nature that I've had, it's been with my family. Sharing things that we love together to strengthen our bonds is really powerful. My kids and I actually just returned from a trip to New Hampshire. We were about 8 miles from the Canadian border, and we experienced a total solar eclipse in totality. And this was such a powerful shared experience that 2 days later and 2 school days later, it's still at the top of our conversations, from the beauty of totality and how nature just goes there and amazes us all the time, to my children now being inspired to learn more about the sun and the moon and celestial phenomena. We have this shared interest now that we can geek out together on, and it has truly strengthened our relationship. So, I think that creating these valuable social connections can also mean deepening your connections with the people you spend the most time with already. Nature is just truly one of the most powerful relationship builders.
Wow, that was fantastic. And it's so funny that you talk about your family, because I get an opportunity to walk daily with my daughter, who's a Coast Guard veteran, as well as with my grandson. So we walk our dogs. We have a trail that's right outside of our neighborhood. And so just even spending that time and slowing down, and when he sees, an acorn or a worm or what have you, just having those moments, bringing home leaves and sticks every day, and collecting those are moments that you won't get back. And so it's not something that's big and sexy like summiting a mountain, but it's those small, intimate moments in the outdoors that also have value and meaning as well. So thank you for that. All right, we have another set of questions for our panelists. This is for Antoinette and Sherrell. You've both founded or co-founded your own organizations that focus on specific identities and interests. So this is clearly a space where there is a need. What do you feel these identity or interest groups, or in the outdoor space, we say affinity spaces, provide that other spaces do not? Sherrell, did you want to go first?
Yeah, I can. I think this is a great question when it comes to specific interest groups or affinity groups. From my experience, I live here in the Washington, D.C. metro area. Anytime you have an opportunity for women veterans or women in general to get together, if some people have expressed to me that it feels like a safe space, like people can come together and just kind of be themselves versus maybe just being open, to everyone. And so I think that interest groups are really important to the community so that we can begin removing barriers to people enjoying all the benefits of spending time outdoors. And what I do with my group, Mind, Body, Faith, which is a focus on movement and meditation for women of faith, it gives them an opportunity to fully express and talk about their faith through the lens of movement and meditation, in many cases outdoors, prayer walks, creation gazing, and the like. And so I feel that these groups provide different communities with an opportunity to experience what's available to all in a safe space. That's what I tend to hear when I myself attend different group outings and whatnot. It's not that a lot of these activities aren't available to the community, but it's about being able to be yourself in a space that you feel like you have shared experiences with other people, whether it's through service, whether it's through just everyday experiences in various industries. All of those things I feel like really make a difference. And when it comes to other spaces, there may not be as much intention placed on making sure that it's a safe space versus just making sure that the activity is available. And so it's not just about availability of activities, but it's also about creating a safe space for people to be, for people that sometimes people may be a little shy, or they may be new to the situation. So they want to kind of maybe observe a little bit. You don't have to move like everybody else moves. You just want to be able to have a variety of opportunities for people to experience opportunities for healing, for community, and ultimately wholeness, mind, body, and spirit. So those are just a few of my thoughts about different types of spaces.
Oh, that was great, Sherrell, and it segues nicely into what I was going to talk about. So what I love about affinity groups is, like Sherrell was saying, it's a safe space with people who have a common experience. And that experience could be gender identity, military service, hidden or visible disabilities, socioeconomic access to sports. Like some people can show up and have all of the gear, and if you don't have anything, that can feel uncomfortable. But when you're in a group where everyone's showing up without any gear, and you feel like, oh, I'm one of these people. I'm with people that are going to get me. They don't have this huge, vast body of knowledge that I don't have. So what I wanted to make sure that everybody kind of understands that's listening is about safe space. So safe spaces can be a space where you don't need to code switch. You don't need to do a lot of explaining. For example, if you're a veteran with a hidden disability, like I have, I'm a traumatic brain injury survivor. And when people talk too fast, they get a little mad at me when I ask, can you slow down? I've had a brain injury and I'm having a hard time learning because you're talking too fast. They get insulted. But when I'm with other people in a safe space for folks with disabilities or for veterans, they tend to understand and get it. And they're like, oh, so accommodating. In fact, most of the times I don't have to ask them to slow down. So there could be emotionally safe spaces where you don't need to code switch, safe spaces that are physically safe. So meeting up with some group that you met on the internet that says, hey, let's go hiking together, but you don't know anybody. My thought would be, concerns about personal security, right? And physical security. So feeling physically safe and also emotionally safe. Can I be vulnerable with this group? And then also experientially safe. So someone in the group or a few people in the group need to have a vast body of knowledge so that they can keep everyone safe and free from injuries as you're doing the activity. But the rest of the group can be in experience and everyone's learning together, and we're all looking silly as we're trying to learn something new, which is normal, a normal human experience. So in thinking about a safe space, your affinity group addresses all of these needs and creates this community that has said to you with open arms, I want you here, and now you're welcome.
Wow, I love that. The group saying, I want you here, as opposed to you walking into a space. And I've walked into spaces, outdoor veteran spaces, and literally I want to just go back to my car and go home because I don't feel welcomed. And these are veterans. And so I think that's really important too, for someone to even feel safe. Like, how is this experience going to be for me? So thank you so much, Sherrell and Antoinette, and Deidre is going to jump in really quick. Awesome. So thank you, Deidre, for doing everything behind the scenes. We need people to do that. So thank you, and I'm honored to have you on my team. So this is for everyone. We've talked a lot about benefits, solutions to common barriers, and the role of community in creating quality experiences in nature. In case there is anyone still here that's not sure about what quality time in nature looks like for them in 2 sentences or less, what is one action any woman in any body right now that they can do to spend time in nature that is enjoyable? We're not talking about taking out the trash. We're not talking about, walking the dog. We're not talking about things that are outdoorsy, but acknowledging things like gardening are things that you can do that are in the outdoors. And anyone can go first. 2 sentences or less.
Well, I'm happy to get us started and share a little. I'd love to just recognize that micro moments in nearby nature are really valuable. So I work from home. I mentioned that before. In a really small place, I have maybe 5x5 area that I work from. And so sometimes it feels really overwhelming and isolating and exhausting to just be in that one space. So stepping outside to take a 15-minute break and observe my surroundings, right? It's one small change in the environment that can help to really reset my day. And so I encourage you to take those micro moments. And during those micro moments, ask yourself, what do you notice? Is the sun warming your skin? Is the wind blowing your hair? Is the grass wet from a recent rain? Are birds chirping or are insects humming? And those things are meaningful. And just that small change in your environment, I think, is exceptionally valuable.
Thank you.
I'll pop in there next. This word is so overused and it's such a, hype word right now, but mindfulness. And I think looking at everything around you and remembering that all these things that you're looking at that are so beautiful and you're so much in awe, if someone had mentioned awe in the poll, you're a part of all of that. And just remembering that, every atom and cell and, element, you are a piece of all of that. And just remembering that it's not you in the outdoors, you and the outdoors.
I just want to remind everyone to go outside a few times a day and just breathe. And I recommend this book by James Nestor. It's called Breath. One of the activities that I encourage you to just start doing is inhaling for a 5.5 second inhale and a 5.5 second exhale, all through the nose, not in through the nose and out through the mouth, all through the nose. And it works to reset your lungs and the rest of your respiratory system for diaphragmatic breathing from your diaphragm. And as veterans, many of us suffer from anxiety. That's a big challenge for some of us. And when we start getting anxious, we start holding our breath or taking really shallow breaths. And then that makes you feel a little lightheaded. And then you get a little more anxious. And then next thing you know, you can't breathe or you feel like you can't breathe. Try this exercise out in nature. It helps to ground you, reconnect you. You'll feel more inside your body. And if you're feeling like challenging yourself, walk to your mailbox or walk around your apartment or your home and do that 5-second inhale, 5-second exhale while you're walking. I used to suffer from vocal cord dysfunction where my vocal cord would shut off my airway and I couldn't breathe at all. And I started doing these exercises and now I don't need an inhaler.
So I wanted to share just in a few sentences as well, what is an action that any woman anywhere can do right now to spend time in nature that's enjoyable. So, it's all about safety, whether you do something with someone or you're doing it alone. One thing that I think is very accessible to many people is to either go out and sit on your deck or just simply sit on your porch. My grandmother wasn't a hiker, but she definitely spent a lot of time out in nature, sitting on her porch and creation gazing, just looking out on nature. But something that I've actually decided to do this spring that kind of mixes things up a little bit is not only take a walk outside, but consider making sure you're in a safe space. Consider taking a walk during the different times of the day, and you will get a different perspective. So maybe taking an early morning walk where you're able to see the sunrise, a mid-afternoon walk, in the evening while the sun is going down. It gives you a different perspective. You may find that your any mindfulness practices that you practice may feel different when you're out in nature during different times of the day. I know that there are various hiking clubs that are verified, very safe, and they actually have nighttime hikes, which I haven't had the chance to do yet, but I look forward to doing it. And then they have those early morning hikes where it's dark, and then once you finish the hike is morning time. So that's something to kind of just spice things up for people that just want to take a short brisk walk outside. And if a walk is not available, spend some time on your deck or your porch and just look out and hear nature sing a song to you one day.
Wow, that was powerful. Thank you all for that. Yeah, Sherrell, if you're saying that, it made me think of my grandmother as well. She was poor, lived in the country, and she would spend time outdoors on her crooked, broken concrete steps, creation gazing and talking to the Lord. So, and hearing you say that made me realize that, wow, she was spending quality time in nature, and I didn't even realize that as a child. So thank you for bringing back that memory for me, that my grandmother, not even understanding why she was doing it, but she realized that doing that time was important for her.